Hi, I'm Phil and welcome to Intermittent Gaming's review of Immortals Fenyx Rising, the game you should be playing right now. When I first caught wind of this title some time ago, I was drawn in by the wonderful and vibrant art style. The fact that this game was going to be honey-dipped in Greek mythology only drew me in further, and I knew this was going to be a game Intermittent Gaming had to keep an eye on. But what struck me more is that this was a Ubisoft title. This wouldn't usually put me off, as I am a fan of some Ubisoft games, and even though the Assassin's Creed franchise has had a massive overhaul, there is something all too safe and familiar about a Ubisoft title that doesn't make me rush out and buy it day one. However, Immortals is the breath of fresh air Ubisoft needed.
Because why wouldn't you just walk through a creepy, half-destroyed temple?
Fenyx is a hero, Zeus.
Hero is what they call a mortal who dies.
Immortals is an epic tale comically regaled by none other than Zeus and Prometheus themselves, who act as our humble narrators, well, at least one of them does. The narcissistic Zeus is on the brink of defeat when he turns to the wisdom of the imprisoned Prometheus, a god Zeus himself imprisoned. So Prometheus begins to tell the story of Fenyx, a lowly shield bearer who is under the shadow of a revered and heroic older brother, the Giron. Stranded on the shores of the Golden Isles, Fenyx awakes to find that almost everyone on the island has been turned to stone, including her brother. Who is responsible? The villainous Typhon, who seems hell-bent on bringing down the gods and making the world perfect. Cue Fenyx, the hero in waiting. After a little exploration, the odd skirmish with a bad guy, and a fabled weapon that just so happens to be lying around, we encounter the unscrupulous Hermes and a rather dubious oracle that may be plucking the odd prophecy or two out of thin air, except in your case, of course, where the oracle seems very on the money. So with the gods defeated, monsters roaming the Golden Isles, and Hermes there only for moral support, it is down to you to fix this mess by finding the old gods and restoring them back to their former glory. Yes, the four main gods, Ares, Aphrodite, Hephaestus and Athena, have all been transformed into various hilarious shapes and sizes, so your quest takes you on all sorts of bizarre twists and turns to transform them back. As a result, tonally, this is a massive departure from the standard Ubisoft game, which can only be a good thing. Speaking of more good things, while all the videos and artwork showcase a female protagonist, players can actually fully customise their character from male to female with a host of hair, skin and eye colour options, including a green bearded lady if they so wish. Fenyx also comes with the usual range of extensive upgrades such as armour, weaponry, skills, potions and some cool godlike powers. However, unlike some games, each of these upgrades are not just a convenient plot progression device. These upgrades are essential for those looking to complete all the hundreds of challenges in the game, and you would be wise to complete as many as you can, as the rewards give you a serious boost to your character and their abilities, especially for those wanting to feel godlike. Exploring the island, you'll encounter four very distinct zones that are the personification of our four lost gods. The vivid colours, dynamic lighting and sheer imagination of the landscape would be the ideal postcard for any tourist destination, if it wasn't for all the horrible monsters ruining the neighbourhood, that is. This game has a lot in common with Zelda Breath of the Wild in that they are both action-adventure based, with hack and slash combat, a trusty bow, free roam exploration and RPG elements. But exploring is where Immortals stands tall over Breath of the Wild, which can be accused of being quite sparse at times, whilst Immortals is littered with enemies, but more importantly, puzzles. These puzzles are key to leveling up your character's various skill trees and stamina and health bars. There are several types of puzzles, and whilst each one involves shooting targets, moving heavy objects onto pressure pads, or lighting torches and the like, no two puzzles really feel the same. Each one has just enough variation to make it that little bit different to the last one. And for me, it was overcoming these puzzles that made this game not only feel full, but incredibly addictive. So what downsides do we have? Very few, to be honest. The combat is basic for a hack and slash, and the controls are questionable at times. The trigger and shoulder buttons are your basic attacks, which can feel very alien. However, the option to customise your controls is available, but it would appear that swapping out one button can have a huge adverse outcome on another, making Immortals very tricky to play. Some astute gamers out there have managed to work out an alternative controller scheme without any major hang-ups, but it begs the question why Ubisoft didn't include them as an option in the first place. Also, Immortal suffers a similar problem to Breath of the Wild, in that you can randomly grab a wall and start climbing. This can happen when running around, or even worse, during combat, which can be infuriating. Finally, and this is a completionist problem, there are so many puzzles that maxing out all your stats and collectibles can become a tad tedious, but where is the fun without the challenge? Overall, Immortals Fenyx Rising is a game that many of you may have skipped with the launch of the new consoles, favouring some of the more bigger, more established franchises. But now that the dust has settled, I implore you to seek out this game. It is both a surprise but also a fantastic game, start to finish, with hours of story, puzzles and adventure. It may be a tad too early to predict, but for intermittent gaming, Immortals Fenyx Rising could easily be finding itself among the Game Awards later this year.